All right, is this thing working? All right. All right. Hey, everyone. Dennis Kaye here with Belize Islands Real Estate. Today, I have a very episode of the show for you. So many of you have been buying vacant land properties, either in and around Secret Beach, beachfront, off-beach properties, or on the east side of Ambergris Caye. And a lot of you have been asking me questions. Dennis, how do we build when the time comes? And I've been sending you different links to sites such as Premier Home Builders and Linda Vista Home Builders on the mainland who do some building and shipping to the island. But today, I want to introduce to you a very good friend of mine, Ersel Martinez. Ersel, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kate. Thanks for having me.
So how long have we known each other?
Close to 20 years, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. We go back a long time. So, I worked with Ersel on some different projects. And Ersel, just kind of explain what you do for people on the island, because you've been there a long time, right?
Oh, yes. Here I design houses, residential home or commercial structures. I've also done condos and I've done resorts. So, and I also had the privilege of building a few of those.
Excellent. Very good. So some of the things you have been involved in, you may not be able to say publicly because of confidentiality reasons, but is there anything on the island that, for example, let's say I have a client come down in December to see you. Could you show them different projects that you worked on?
Definitely. We have some here. I have some resorts that I've worked on and some residential home that I'm sure they're going to be interested in looking at.
Awesome. Excellent. Very good. So let's say a client of mine has a beachfront lot at Secret Beach, or maybe it's 4 or 5 rows back. What is the process? How do they even think about starting to build? Where does it start? For example, they contact you, and then where does it go from there?
Well, first we got to settle on a layout that they want to do, whether it's going to be residential or commercial. We got to agree on a layout that they want. Then from there, we start to do the actual drawing. And then if it's a commercial structure, say for example, it's like a little resort that they want to do, there's several procedures that has to be done, like get the developer involved. That means that we have to make sure that the EIA is met. That's the environmental compliance and all of that, that their sewer is going to be okay. And there's a department that takes care of all of that. The process for that takes about 3 months. It could be 3 to 6 months, depending on how complicated the building or the project is.
Okay.
After we get that approval, we can still be doing something else during that time. We don't have to be waiting, because more likely they're going to just tell you what to do to comply with their requirements. So from there, we try to get the floor plans in, and we wait a while. We take it to the building department. We show them what we want to do, and they're going to tell you yes, they don't have any objections to this, and then we can start to work after we get all those approvals from there. Okay. After we get the approval from the EIA, that's when we start to do the structural construction drawing. So we got to make sure everybody's okay. We also have to get an electrical design finished, which is from the PUC, the Public Utilities Commission. They're going to make sure that our power, or however we're going to get power, that's going to be solar or whatever, is not going to burn down your building later on.
So that's good. Nobody wants a burned down building.
So they're going to make sure that that's okay, and they're going to get that approved. Once that's approved, we're good to go to submit to the building department.
Okay. So a lot of the things that you just mentioned, like with an EIA, the environmental impact assessment, that applies to like if somebody wants to build a small resort. But how about just I want to build my own home, a small home, a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom home. Does that have to go through the same process, or is that easier?
The electrical still has to be done because that's requirement by the building department. And then we just need to, like I said, finalize our floor plan, get the electrical done, and we submit. Okay. That process takes about 2-3 weeks to do.
Oh, it's very quick then.
Yeah.
All right. So a couple of my clients, they have drawn up plans. Either they sketched it out on the piece of paper or they found something online. So what would they do with those plans? Would they send those to you and you could help turn them into something that maybe alter them, make it more islandy?
Yeah. That's right. We can do the modifications, have it suit their liking, also maybe suit the environment if they want, or whatever tweak they want to do to it, we do that. And then from there, we start to develop the plans. It's very easy, it's very fast. And it's usually easier when they already have an idea that they want. If I got to come up with the idea, it takes a bit longer, and it's a back and forth thing, kind of like what we're doing right here.
Okay.
We do on a Zoom call or conference call where they can see what I'm working on, and we make the modifications, and we do electronic electronic communication. No? I send
Okay.
them PDF. They can annotate on that, make changes, but it takes a bit longer.
Okay, sure. No, it makes sense. So once you get the plans done, you submit them to the San Pedro Town Council or Building Authority,
Yes,
and you get
they have a building
approval.
department here. We have a local building department,
Hmm.
and they are allowed to approve, if I'm not mistaken, about 3-story structures. Anything above that has to go to the central building department.
Okay.
No,
So
that's not correct.
three-story height limit.
That's not correct. They can build up to 5, 6-story now. We're allowed to
Oh,
6-story right now. If it's way up north, has to go to building department. Anything in the
okay.
Belize, I mean in San Pedro, poor, the building department can take care of it.
Okay. What about like at Secret Beach? That's where most of my clients have been building. You
They're,
know?
they fall under the local authority.
Okay. All right.
Further
Very
north
good.
has to go.
Okay. Excellent. Well, that's good news. That's good news. So they get approval, and then who do they hire to actually do the building? Do you oversee that, or can you take care of that as well?
I can if they hire me, but if they have a contractor of their choice, they can do it as well. All I recommend is that they be a licensed contractor,
Mm, yeah,
that they
absolutely.
are registered with the department, and so if something goes wrong, they are liable.
Right. So let's say they hired you because you also do construction work.
Yes.
So what is the process like? They tell you yes or so. Let's go ahead. Let's start the process. It's August 1st. Tell me how long it takes to build. I know it depends on what style and if it's
Mhm.
concrete or wood, but sort of give me a timeline. What are the steps that takes place?
Well, getting materials, especially for example in Secret Beach, is not as easy as if it's in town. So a down payment will definitely have to be done. Usually, half down payment is required, or whatever we agree on, me and the owner. The reason why I would take half is because I would like to take as much shipping of the materials to site as soon as possible. That way, I don't have to be doing shipping over and over because that costs money.
Hmm.
Each time you have to cross a bridge, there's a fee to cross the bridge with a truck.
Hmm.
And if you got to do that all the time, it costs a lot of money. So if you can get everything done, as much materials in one load as possible, you start to save.
Okay, I
And
see.
I
And
try to,
do you bring stuff over from Belize City by barge as well sometimes, depending on where
yeah,
the lot is?
yes. Most of the time I do buy from mainland, and I don't want to be matching the toes of local vendors, but
Sure,
it's cheaper to buy on inland.
sure.
It's cheaper to buy construction materials and have it shipped to the island
Okay. Very good. So you get a bunch of materials there, as much as you can get,
as
and then
much.
you start with the footings, or you start with the
Yes.
septic system probably, the gray
The
work.
septic system, well, you see, that's the reason why we get our plans. Once we know what our plans are going to look like, we don't have to start at the septic system. We can start in the actual foundation of the building
Mm,
because we already know where the septic is going to be. Now, if the septic is going to be underneath the house, then we got to start with that. But if it's going to be outside, like off the building itself, we don't have to start there. We can start in the building itself.
okay, very good. And so septic, it's no problem for you to build off grid with rainwater cisterns, self-contained septic systems. That's not a
No,
problem for you local builders.
no, we get it done. We get building done where there's no, we're completely off grid. If we need water, we truck it in with those big rotoplas tanks.
Hmm.
We truck it in and we do what we got to do. If we have a big pour, we would have two rotoplas, fill them up, maybe like 650 gallons in each one of them. So we have enough water to get our pour finished.
Good. It's good
And
for my clients to know because sometimes in the past we've heard stories of some contractors, not licensed ones, using ocean water to mix their cement with, and of course
that
that's a
is,
big no-no.
no, no, that did happen in the past, and that is true. But no, if you have someone who is, I would say, not trying to cause damage to the client, and that's why I say get a licensed contractor, someone who is liable to do, you can sue them if they do wrong. They will bring in the water in. And what we're doing now to be more consistent, we use the company to do the pour for us. They have their big trucks, the cement trucks, and they
Hmm.
pour. The cement is more consistent. It's less labor force, and you get a better pour.
Hmm.
So
Interesting. Very
they're
nice.
responsible for most of the pour for you, and they have all their trucks to come in and do that. So
Excellent. That's good news, yourself. That's
you
good
can put your
news.
name on that. It's good, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So no more 50 bags of cement being done one at a time in
No,
the
no,
mixer.
no, no,
Belize
that didn't
Belize is
work.
coming into 2020.
Yes.
So what's the next step? So the guys come in, you got the materials, you get the base down. How long does it take to build a house and finish it off?
Doesn't take too long. At most, a small residential home will take at most 6 months.
Okay.
Doesn't take more than that. A small wooden house would take 2 to 3 months
Okay.
to complete. It doesn't take long to build.
It's good to know.
You
All
know,
right.
as long as the cash flow is there, right?
Yeah. So I often tell people that the reason it takes longer than 3 or 6 months isn't because of you guys. Oftentimes it's because the owner of the house is delaying cash, or he wants to come down and see the progress. So now you have to take all your guys off the job site, put them on something else, and then put them all back on. So it's normally the fault of the home builder, not you guys. Isn't that true?
Yes. We would prefer not to have to stop a project to do another one. We would like to finish it. Because coming back is usually hard. Especially these guys have to keep on working.
Yeah, right.
So if you tell them, listen, man, I will not be working for about 2 weeks or so, chances are that they're going to leave you. They're going to find somewhere else because they have to feed their family.
Mhm.
They live on a day-to-day basis.
Right. So what about solar? Because a lot of my clients are looking at using solar for their houses at Secret Beach or other areas that
Okay.
don't have electric. How do you size up a proper size solar system for the house?
Well, actually, that part, I give them recommendation and they have to look it up and see what they're looking for. Um, the last project I did in Secret Beach was with, I mention name, but they have solar system. It came up to be about, um, it was like $50,000 for the whole system,
Hmm.
and they have 4 buildings in the property,
Hmm.
and it runs everything there. ACs, they don't want to run ACs with it, but they use their AC at times. They have the restaurants in there. They have a little bar
Hmm.
in the property, and the solar does everything for them. They do
Excellent.
have backup generators
Hmm.
just in case. So we do recommend that you have that as well. And in case power does go there, you want to wire your house in such a way that you can just switch to whichever system you want to use.
Gotcha. So
Yeah,
let me just touch on this. This is very important because my clients are always asking, what is my solar going to cost? And I said, look, it depends on how much power you're going to use. For
that's true.
example, if you get a little two-bedroom Mennonite house and you don't use the AC that much and you have low wattage appliances, it'll be a much cheaper solar system.
Yes,
But like for this guy, for this client you're talking about, he's got 4 units, full
yes.
power in each of them, plus some AC units, plus
Mhm,
a running bar. He's got to be using a lot of wattage per day.
mhm.
So 50,000 actually seems very reasonable to me because you figure a much smaller house, if you can go for 10, 15,000 on just a single family home, that's reasonable because you got to think too, you don't have any electric bills from BEL once your
That
solar's
is
there.
true. That is true. You gotta make sure also that the batteries that you use to store that you get good qualities
Right?
because those become expensive when you have to replace them.
Okay. Good to
The
know.
batteries, you know.
Excellent.
But technology has improved so much that you can get batteries that will last that has good lifetime that you actually it's worth buying, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you compare ping BL and all of that to the amount of time that your battery is there, saves you a lot.
Right. Now
But I really
here's a question for you. A lot of my clients are buying land. It's just in its raw native state. It's ugly, it's scruffy. I know usually before you build, you got to have some guys bring in a couple truckloads of limestone, kind of like
mhm.
level it out. Do you handle that portion of it for them?
I do work with the guys who do that, and I
Okay.
can take care of it as well.
Okay, good. So you can take care of that. You build the house. What about like at the very end? You put the palm trees in and make it look all pretty with some
Landscaping,
landscaping. Yeah, yeah.
landscaping, I do have guys who do it as well. Yes.
Good. So this is
So
this is typical, guys. So Ersel knows people that does all this stuff. So you go to one guy to get the work done, but then he parcels it out and he chooses the best guys for the job.
that's it. I
Awesome.
have landscape guys who does landscaping, and most of the plants that we get, most of them are right here. We have some good trees, good plants that you can put in your property. You don't really
Hmm.
have to go offshore to do that. You can get it right from here. And if you want specific trees, we also have a place that sells these plants right here in San Pedro, and it's
Okay.
pretty reasonable. It's not expensive, and you can make your place look like a paradise. Tourist,
Awesome.
right?
Yes, man.
It's beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. Good deal. So
Yeah.
let's see. What is the process? Like you start to work with a client of mine. just to sketch out the house plans? Do you give them a quote? Do you charge by the hour? How do you normally like
Give
to
them a
work your
quote.
fees?
I give them a quotation for the design. First, I charge the preliminary. So preliminary takes some time. That's a back and forth process that we got to do until they say, yes, that's what I want to do. So after the preliminary, that's when I come in and I charge in the actual design fee, structural design. That also includes my engineer. So I already include my engineer fee in my quote. I have an engineer that I work with, and he is responsible for some very nice structures here. I trust him. He's very good. So I give you a quotation with his fee in. If the structure is too big, then I don't give you his quote. I give you only architecture, and then you could choose whichever engineer you want to choose, and you pay them separately, and I work along with them.
Okay.
I've worked with a lot of engineers. So far, I haven't had any problems.
Good.
So getting that part done, once they have accepted the preliminary, we go straight into the architecture. And then I forward information to the engineer, and he starts working, and I work along with him. If there's some small modification we need to do due to structure, I contact the client, they agree, and we make the change so it can work. If not, we just have him engineer it the way it is.
Okay. All right. Very good. Awesome. Well, I think it's all the questions I had or so. Is there anything else you want my clients to know?
Well, the process is very easy and pretty fast. It doesn't take too long. The longest I've ever had doing a structure, the one that I did for 5 floors, took 2 months. Designing from architecture to engineering, finishing to submitting. Took 2 months. So it doesn't take too long.
Okay.
And approval here in San Pedro takes from 2 weeks to a month. So it depends when you submit. Every 2 weeks they have a meeting. If you miss that time when they have a meeting, you got to wait for another 2 weeks, which give you the month. But usually it's 2 weeks for approval.
Okay. That's good. That's good to know.
The only one that takes a little longer is if you're doing, for example, like I said, a resort, which has to go through the environmental clearance and all those different departments that has to proceed before it gets approved.
Right.
That takes a little longer, which can take up to like from 3 months to 6 months.
Right. Right. And that's a substantial project.
That's a big project.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for your time today, Ersel. We really appreciate it. And I will, with your permission, I'll post this to my YouTube channel. And if people ask for your contact information, I can give them, what do you prefer, your email?
They can contact me via email.
Okay.
You have my number, I prefer email, and then we communicate from there.
Okay. Excellent. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
No problem, brother.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
That's it. And then we end.
We end right now.